Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, February 22nd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, seroundtable.com over the past week. First up, Google's search algorithm updates are continuing. It happened over the weekend again. After that, it seemed to pretty slow down a little bit here and there, but a lot of people are noticing fluctuations over the weekend and a little bit after that as well, so just keep an eye on that. Some people actually said there was a Bing algorithm update as well recently, although Frederick from the Bing search team said there's nothing out of the ordinary. He posted that on Twitter. He says nothing's out of the ordinary. Ranking models update very frequently, so changes like this are expected more or less and all the time. I do appreciate original posters and so forth. And this is like one of the tools. Cert Metrics is like the one tool that actually tracks Bing. And there's some fluctuations, but nothing out of the ordinary, as you can see over here in the chart. So there you go. Frederick also said from Bing that only a very few truly understand how core search works at Bing. He said this on Twitter. He said, right here, even within Bing, there are relatively few people who truly understand how core ranking works. And this kind of reminds me of what Google has said. There's probably very few people at Google who understand exactly how core ranking works. But specifically with Bing, Bing has said that 90% plus of their algorithm, their search algorithm, is reliant on machine learning, where I think Google is probably much lower. And again, it really depends on how you define that. And it's very interesting to hear that from Bing and say that. It's not uncommon. That's what I would probably expect from Bing to say about their algorithm. Google's Search Console is now testing or actually sending out notifications for drops in weekly clicks. Here's a Search Console notification email. You can see 48% drop in weekly clicks from a specific property. It was blocked out. You can see the site clicks drop by 48%. The query clicks drop by 100% over the past week over week. So it's pretty cool to get alerts like that because some people don't log into their Search Console every time and actually look for it. Google said in a white paper that they could detect and adjust rankings for YMYL queries, Your Money, Your Life queries. Again, Your Money, Your Life is from the Quality Raters guidelines, and Google's able to detect certain types of queries and adjust their algorithms based off of that. The white paper goes into that. It says where algorithms detect that a user's query relates to YMYL topic, we will give more weight in our ranking systems for that, et cetera, et cetera. And then it goes into EAT, authoritative expertise and trusting worth, and so forth. So that's a pretty interesting topic. Definitely take a look at that, which we'll talk a little bit more in a bit. There's also other SEO tidbits from that document as well in this white paper that Google released, specifically talking about the EAT aspect and YMCL. So definitely take a look at that as well. I'm not sure if we can look into it too much, but it is there. And based on that query, based on that question of that white paper, somebody asked a question in this morning's Google Webmaster Hangout with John Mueller, asking, does Google adjust algorithms for industries or verticals, like medical versus finance, etc.? And John Mueller said they don't look at it in terms of adjusting algorithms for specific industries or verticals, but they look at adjusting algorithms for specific types of queries. So if they're not doing well on medical types of queries, they might go ahead and make tweaks to the algorithm to do better, to show more relevant results based on those types of queries. And that's kind of saying the same thing, and John Mueller said it's basically saying the same thing, but they think about it differently. They think about it from the query type as opposed to, oh, this specific industry we're targeting. Again, when we covered that the Medic update was specific to targeting more of the medical health field, again, we thought about it in terms of verticals and industries, but Google said, no, we're not targeting industries. Well, they were targeting maybe types of queries around medical queries or health-related queries because that's what we saw in the data. Again, semantics. Talking about semantics, again, this is pretty funny. So, Google Code published a new document. The Google Code team, Google Cloud team, posted another document on the developer page, basically saying, here you got it. For example, when you click a link in Google search, Google considers your click when ranking that search result in future queries. Now, we all know Google has said time and time again for the past 15 or so years, Google does not use click-through results, click data for search rankings. They might use it to evaluate how well their algorithms are working after the fact, but they might use it for previous queries. So if I search on something now, do another search, it might impact how my next search looks based on previous query. That's personalized search. But in terms of core rankings, they do not use CTR. Gary just said it a week or two ago. We do not use CTR for rankings. There was a post in 2009 talking about previous query and how Google uses that for personalized search. But again, Google does not use it. But this document says they do. Again, it could be used. Again, this is what happens when a huge company, the Google Cloud team, who has nothing at all to do with search team, posts something that they think is true, and maybe they're referencing the personalized search. Google needs to clarify that document ASAP and go on record again, I believe, to say, no, we don't use this for core search. We'll see if they do that or not, because they've done it in the past. A study from RankRanger says that feature snippets are more consistent than you might imagine. So typically it says a feature snippet will swap out between about 2.2 different URLs over a 30 or 90-day period, unique URLs. And it might swap 6 or times between the same 2 URLs. Sometimes a third URL, but on average, it's 2 URLs. And when there are 2 URLs, the first URL or the dominant URL will show 77% of the time as opposed to the second URL. So it's pretty consistent in terms of how a feature snippet might not change the actual URL that's in that feature snippet. And that's pretty good data. Google Discover feed might be coming to Google Performance Reports to see how Google is sending traffic to you from the Google Discover feed. There were some signs of Google Discover in the Google Performance Report. It's been pulled. Google says tagging internal links with UPM tracking parameters is a bad idea. It could hurt and send Google's indexing processing mixed signals. So do not tag your internal URLs with tagging parameters. There's other ways to handle that. Google's looking to speed up the time from when they crawl a specific page to when they render that page. Again, that's nothing new, but it's really going to take Google a long time to do that. Google says, this is pretty funny, it's a good one-liner from John Mueller, SEOs don't manipulate Google, they manipulate web pages. Basically saying that Google SEOs are focused on making better web pages that help Google understand those pages and so forth. Not going to go into the detail there because we're about 7 minutes in and I want to kind of finish this video ASAP. Got a meeting coming up. Google's UX Playbooks, which a lot of people have been writing about for for the past couple months or so now, have nothing to do with search, organic search. They're by the ads team, the search ads team, nothing to do with the organic search team. And John Mueller said that clearly. Of course, having good UX, good websites do help overall improve your rankings, but the specific things you find in the UX playbooks are not going to directly influence your search rankings. It's kind of like those search quality guidelines and so forth. Raters guidelines, sorry. Google's testing image search icons or thumbnails for the related searches in the mobile search Google image search results. You can see here, these are images. These didn't show up before in the related search section. I just can't stand fake Google Map edits or Google Map edits specific around are really hurting businesses. My business has been edited multiple times saying we're closed or closed certain days or hours have changed or the URL has changed, etc. And anybody can go in and just modify any business. And often Google won't notify you until that change has been implemented, which is kind of annoying. Google has turned on Google Assistant duplex-based calls, even though you opted out. Like you went in and actually opted out, Google will actually turn that back on. It happened to a bunch of people that have actually opted out of that in Google My Business, and they turned it back on, which is a huge headache. Google Ads now requires fewer clicks on the ads to actually trigger a mobile page speed score in the Google Ads console. So a lot more people should start seeing the Google mobile page speed score in their Google Ads because fewer clicks are required. Google Ads fixed a bug from last Friday where in the ad diagnostic tool it showed various ad scores. I'm not sure what these scores mean, but you can see here format score, bid eCPM, FMT eCPM, number of rejections, and so forth. So it's pretty interesting to see that data. Google fixed it. And for the Google Webmaster Hangouts that John Mueller does on a very frequent basis, he's sourcing questions using the YouTube community now, and I have instructions on how to actually submit questions right here on February 19th, so definitely take a look at that. In any event, thanks so much for listening to the Search Bots Video Recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable, SERoundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next. Goodbye.